So, welcome everyone. My name is Joshua Richards, founder of OSINT Praxis and part of the leadership team in the UK OSINT Community. In this week, we'll be going through the walkthrough for Operation Pixels. And this one was a much more basic kind of CTF, all focused around similar techniques to do with image editing, manipulating different imagery and things like that. It's only 4 challenges, so lots of people got through this a lot more quickly. But hopefully it was a struggle for some and you got to practice out new skills, or at least practice things that you may not get to use on a regular basis. So let's get straight into this. One is Operation Pixels that we have down here. The first challenge is Windows or Mac. So this one, we have 34 or 33 solves on this one. One of our private investigator associates has hit some dead ends recently on several cases due to their lack of knowledge when it comes to image editing and manipulation. So it gives us this image here, and we now have to identify the name of the person from that image. So if we go to Photopia and we open up that image, that one is this. So this is the image that we're given. And you can see it has this kind of twirl effect on it. And if we could just reverse that, then we could see who this person is. And as you might have seen in some write-ups and different conversations in the Discord, this is based on a real case where someone actually did this on their own face and put that as a profile picture, and they were a criminal, so then they got identified by their face because of this. Imagine how many other people are out there. I'm curious now if there could be like an AI that just like scans people's photos to see if they've done this effect, because that person cannot be the only one, surely. But all we can do here now is on Photopia, and it was good. Let me know if I say your name wrong. Zaya, right? Zaya, as you said in your write-up, because I used Photopia to do this, it's much easier to just reverse it. But if you were using different tools, then you may need to play around with different settings to actually create the same effect. But you know that I'm a huge fan of Photopia, so you should just use it too, and it would be a lot easier for you. So if we go to Filter, and then go to Distort, we hear Distort and Twirl, you can see how it does that effect. But if we reverse it back, all the way to -999, we now get that original image. Because all I did is basically just up it. But now if you reverse it back, that just removes the twirl and you get the original face. Then like I said, if there's other tools, you may have a few other options in addition to the angle one, where you might need to change like radiuses and different parts like that. But regardless of what tool you use, if it has this kind of twirl effect, you should be able to get back to a decent version of the original that allows you to reverse image search this. So as you know, I like to use this browser extension here, search by image. You could just run a quick, Google search over this, crop over the image, run a search. Oh, nice. And then we get back all of the imagery for Lee Mac, which is why I named the thing that. I thought it would be funny naming it Windows on Mac because its name is Lee Mac. So the answer here is OSINT UK, brackets, and then Lee Mac. There we go. So then that opens up into landscape. Yes, I love Would I Lie to You, and also his sitcom Not Going Out are both incredible. Lee Mac is one of my favorite comedians who can like make you laugh so much without even having to like do what most others do with all like the swearing and everything. He literally makes you laugh just by the way he looks at the camera sometimes, and it's just crazy. Okay, so landscape. We have 32 solves here on this one. And this one simply says, identify the hidden code in this image. So let's start off here in Photopia again. And this is this particular one. And we'll look at some other websites as well, like as you'll have seen in previous walkthroughs potentially, we have forensically. But with this one, we can do various things where basically we want to find the code that is visually hidden in the background. You can kind of see a little part here. You can see that there's something in the sky. So then it's just about how do you really bring it out? And you can do so many different things. Like, I don't even have a solid workflow to really tell you. It's literally, you can choose so many of these options because it's not like some fancy OSINT technique. It's literally, there's just so many different photo editing applications and use cases for these different features. You know, you have brightness and contrast. You can just try playing around with that, see what happens, you know? See this contrast. Can we see it? We can't really see it too much. You can start to see it come out a little bit there, where you can kind of see the numbers, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Let's try some others. Curves and levels are usually good for, they're almost similar, curves and levels, for changing that lighting and the brightness. Let's go levels, and you can see here, this. Again, you can start to see it come out slightly. Let's go here. I was also playing around with one. Let me see if I can find it again. Maybe. Or is it in layer threshold? I think it was this. Yeah, there you go. Like with threshold, so you have layer, new adjustment layer, and threshold. And you can see as you can use your scroll wheel to scroll up number by number. And you can see how it kind of just gives you that entire thing much more easily to see here. And so you kind of have the answer there, sky 1, 2, 3, 4. But if you go into this one, so this is forensically, open the file, and landscape. And once again, you can kind of just go over, literally on the default magnifier, you can just hover over the sky until you find something. And we have it right here where it says sky 1, 2, 3, 4. And then, yeah, again, even here as well, you can just literally go through the list and, you know, you can kind of see it here. You can change these. So again, you can just basically see it in so many different ways. I was trying to do, I've never played around much with this error level analysis one, but I saw in your write-up as well, you made this stand out on the error level analysis, right? You made it stand out so much better. Yeah, I need to play around with lots of these other options as well. But yeah, so that's the answer there, where we can see it, sky 1, 2, 3, 4. There we go. So now the next one, secret. Identify the secret that has been redacted. So let's go here. And so this one, we've got this letter, and we now need to identify what text was hidden or redacted underneath this. And you can kind of already see it without even zooming in much, but you can kind of, why is it so bad? It wasn't that bad, was it? I'm sure I made that a lot worse. I think it's like, it also depends what screens you view it on, because this is based on a real technique. I didn't just like make it so that you can see through it for the sake of it. This is based on a real issue that lots of people fall into, where if you open your Photos app on iOS and you use like the highlighter, because lots of people will just take a photo of something and they try to redact it quickly in their phone and then they upload it to social media. But the thing is, because the pen on iPhone is tiny, it would take ages to actually redact something. So people instead use the highlighter. And obviously you can see through a highlighter, but people go over it multiple times and it layers highlighter on highlighter and it does get much darker. So on the iPhone, when I was looking at it, it looked very dark. But I just happen to know that you can still see through it. So even if people do this highlighter on iOS over black text, doesn't truly hide it. So you can still do different effects in Photopea or whatever application you want to use, and it will make it stand out. But yeah, I thought it was a lot darker than this. You can literally just read it with zooming in right here. But yeah, technically, what you can do, and you'll see this, like literally, like look up people holding their driver's license certificates. When they pass their driver's test and they get that, maybe like a theory test, say, when they pass that, they get the letter which says you passed your theory test and, you know, this is your driver's license number. So many people post those on like Twitter and Facebook and they redact their driver's license number, but they do it using an iPhone highlighter. So you can literally see straight through it. You'll see loads of people falling into this mistake. And so, yeah, all you have to do is, again, just use those same things that I mentioned, like the levels, and you can just run over this and it kind of just gets rid of all of those dark areas. You can do it here with this as well. And you basically can just cut out everything else and you still now see Project Omega 7A2B. And again, there's just, you can play around and experiment with so many of like the different filters, the different layer adjustments. And by the way, when I go here to layer, new adjustment layer, that's the same thing as when I just go down to this button down here in the middle. It shows you all of the same stuff. And then just down here, there's unlimited little fancy things you can do to adjust the image. And it's always funny with these things because like you wouldn't think that this is for OSINT. It's basically Photoshop, just editing photos. Why would adding some brightness to an image help us in an investigation? But there's so many of these use cases where people are uploading redacted documents every day, or not even documents, just redacted photos in general, whether it's trying to blur a face or blur text, like I mentioned with the driver's license stuff, maybe passports and loads of different use cases here. You can literally solve it so easily with these. So let's go this one, OSINT UK, Project Omega 7A. Is that right? 7A2B. Yeah. Yes, there you go. And then QR code. So I was saying before we started actually going into this walkthrough that this was annoying because I thought that you had to make it a lot better quality, but I saw people scanning this when it wasn't even flat. So yeah, we'll go into it anyway, what I intended for people to do, because there's, again, lots of different use cases in this. The challenge, this goes for so many things that I want you to just be aware of in general here, that even though this challenge is about improving a QR code and scanning it, don't think of it just as something that now helps you with QR codes. This can help you in loads of different use cases. So if I open up that one now here, we open the QR code. So it shows you the QR code here, but it's on a slant. So if you try to scan this on your phone, hopefully it shouldn't work. So we want to try and improve the perspective so that we can see it a lot better, so that we can actually scan it. So yeah, I saw some people like changing it slightly and then they managed to actually get it to scan. But what I intended here is for people to use the perspective crop. So you can see here, the fourth or fifth tool down, there's the crop tool. But if you actually hold down a left click on it, or right click it as well, you can click the perspective crop. That now gives us this ability to drag the corners to the points of the QR code. So if we drag these down here, you just try to match around it as well as you can. This one, so you do that to the 4 corners. And so now we have this, which is cropped around the actual QR code itself. It's not just like cropping it down to a square or anything. You're cropping it around the actual QR code. So now when you press the tick, that should try to flatten it out, keeping it in a good perspective. There you go. So I messed it up a little bit, I guess, but it's pretty good. It's a lot more flat now. It's not on that slant. So now if you try to scan that with your Photos app or your camera app, or you can obviously just put it into a QR code website, that should now scan much better than before. And so this then scans to the UK OSINT website on the events page. But like I said, you can use this for many different applications. I don't have an example right now, but basically imagine here you had a license plate, and I see forensic software doing use case examples like this all the time, where say you had a vehicle driving past and I don't know, it was in a photo maybe, and it's on such an angle that you can see the license plate, but it's at such a narrow angle that you can't read it. You could try to use techniques like this, where you just put that perspective crop over the license plate, and it will try to flatten it out to where potentially you might be able to actually read the text a bit more easily. So lots of different things here. Yeah, in the chat here, you could use this in Operation Echo with the license plates. Exactly, that's exactly what I was thinking. Because when I first saw that, me and Nathaniel were in a call, and I was thinking, like, I can't even read that. And then he just read it out straight away. So I think lots of people, yeah, you can just see that kind of stuff really quickly. But for me, it was on quite a slant. It was a bit hard to read. And I think there was like one of the letters where I thought it was an X, but it was actually a K, or vice versa. So yeah, using techniques like this can just help clear that stuff up a lot. And yeah, I'm curious to experiment more with that myself, because I've seen with Photopia, it doesn't always do it super perfectly. Like you see these examples of forensic software, and they literally will do that perspective thing with the license plates, and you have like the most perfect view of the text. That's because they do extra like mathematical algorithms with it all and stuff. But in Photopia, I suppose it's much more basic. But yeah, so I'm definitely curious to try more use case examples and just test out how it works. So let's go here. OSINT UK. There we go. And we have those correct. So that is it. Like I said, this one was much shorter, and hopefully I just gave everyone a bit more practice in using these kind of photo editing apps and different photo forensics tools. I would love to do more challenges like this in the future.